Hi, welcome to SBR Forum. I'm Peter Loshak. This is the What Are the Odds show that we do every week with Gino Bisconti and Swingin Johnson, esteemed SBR contributors. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Loshak, baby!
All right, guys. So before we get into the meat of the show, I just want to touch on a little bit on something that you said, Swingin Johnson. You said I looked like a serial killer last week, which I have to admit is something I have heard before. That is not the first. You're not the first person to say it. But then right after the show, I saw that Jennifer Aniston's new boyfriend was labeled by Gawker as someone who also looks like a serial killer. So I'm thinking that maybe that's kind of like the new thing, and it's not so bad to look like a serial killer. And also, I don't quite understand why. I think I'm a very nice guy, nice smile, nice kind of look to me. I'm very pleasant. I don't know what to think about the whole thing.
Well, I'll tell you what.
First of all, there's a big difference between being called a serial killer-looking guy by Gawker.com and being called a serial killer-looking person by your immediate family, Pete. Don't you think?
Yes. No, I hear you. But I feel like this. I saw a picture of this guy. Did you put the picture? You see the picture that I sent you guys?
Yes.
Let me open it up.
Okay. Put that. Now, I think that if I got a little bit of eye work done and some plugs on top, that I would look, in that guy's range, and I could get someone, a girlfriend, in the Jennifer Aniston range.
Holy shit, Loshak, you are banging Jennifer freaking Aniston.
I look a little like that guy, don't I?
That's you.
Yeah, serial killer chic. Maybe it's the new thing for like the insane age that we're about to embark on after 2012, Speaking of Jennifer Aniston, did you guys watch the Oscars this past weekend? I don't know if you did or anything.
Well, you know what? I did check out the Oscars, and, they're so glamorous. I love the sparkly jewelry, the plunging necklines, and the fabulous gowns. But I have to say, they do make me look a little bit gay.
So did you guys bet on the Oscars? I mean, Swingin', did you bet on them, or did you just watch them?
No, I just kind of watch them every now and again, and I remember my wife saying, oh, that Angelina is so skinny, she looks like a cancer patient. So I'm thinking to myself, hey, you could use a little chemotherapy yourself, little lady.
All right. Well, let's move on to
I still can't believe the best movie went to the artist, because I didn't think a silent movie would test well with people because they can't talk during the entire movie. There's nothing for them to respond to.
Gino, how do you know what movie won Best Movie?
Because I was watching it in between gay porn.
Oh boy!
I DVR'd the gay porn.
Yeah, I hear you. Can we move on to something a little bit more manly, like UFC, for example? All right, next let's talk about UFC, and one reason that I personally want to bring up UFC is because, we do these handicapping shows with Nick Kalikas, who's an MMA odds maker and a consultant for DSI Sportsbook for every UFC, and last week I made a great pick, Mark Hunt, plus 200, more than that, over Czech Congo, and I called it, I said it in the beginning of the spot. Gino, I know you follow UFC. Did you bet this 144 from last week?
I didn't bet it, but I did actually, follow it closely because everyone's really getting into UFC.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to get into because I grew up watching boxing, so I'm used to all the sparring and stuff. But when you see a guy like that just goes in and gets his ass handed to him, who was the kid? Kid Yamamoto.
Yeah.
He had to submit in 4 minutes and 29 seconds to an English guy who kept screaming, "This is for WW2." I mean, I don't think that's an event.
Yep. I hear you. Swingin Johnson, do you follow MMA at all?
Yeah, love the UFC. I love it. And as a matter of fact, Mark Hunt, I think I used to know his brother Mike.
Mike Hunt.
Really? Really?
No, I don't get it.
Brother's still in Mac Hunt.
But moving right along, Frankie Edgar and Ben Henderson. I mean, Henderson is just a beast in that division. And, Frankie, the answer, Edgar, there's finally a question that he couldn't figure out. And I'll tell you what, I think that this kid Henderson is just too big. I think Frankie Edgar, he's always been a small guy, and I would love to see him drop down to the featherweight division and get it on with Jose Aldo, because I think that would be a terrific match. Rampage Jackson, I think the man's got to be put out to pasture. Ryan Bader, he had
Didn't he yell cut several times while he was getting his ass kicked? Cut!
What's that?
We're not making a movie this time, jackass. Oh, okay. Kicking my ass.
But, Ryan Bader, he got knocked out by John Bones Jones, but, I mean, who doesn't? I mean, the guy is our one-man wrecking crew. But Ryan Bader had a bad loss to Tito Ortiz, another guy that's in the twilight of his career. But I'm telling you what, I think that Brian Bader is going to get a shot at the winner of the JBJ Rashad Evans Bromance Buster because he deserves it. You know, I mean, you look great. So
for sure, for sure. Well, you guys should watch the videos I do with Nick Kalikas because I'm particularly proud of this this great pick that we both made last week on this guy Mar Cunt. That's his name, Mar Cunt, and we picked him at over plus 200.
Still hasn't gotten the joke swing.
Hey, by the way, Loshak, you know what? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, no kidding, I did watch that, and kudos to you. And I'll tell you what, that kid, Nick Kalikas, he is one sharp mofo.
Oh yeah,
There's no
he
question
is.
about it. You know?
Well, he originates MMA lines. We're very happy to have him do shows with us. But all right, yeah. All right, so let's move on, guys, okay? NBA basketball, now the All-Star break is over. The games are starting tonight. It's the second half of this very unique season. And first of all, what did you guys think about the first half of the season or the All-Star break? Anything you want to say about it?
Let me start. I cannot stress enough how the strike may turn out to be the greatest thing for the NBA. The games have been incredible. All the games seem to matter. We've had the birth of Jeremy Lin. We've had the reinventing of the Clippers. And I'm telling you, down the stretch. Oh, and let me say one thing. I hope everybody was on the over in the NBA All-Star game because like I always say, it's such a joke. The NBA, NFL, and NHL All-Star game.
Yeah.
You can't set the betting line high enough. And again, just like the NFL, third quarter, they hit the over. You know why? Because all they do in the game is they dunk every other play, and no one plays defense. They shouldn't have played the game in Orlando. They should have played it in a giant toilet because all you're looking at is a ton of garbage and 2,000 flushes. Okay,
Sure.
Now that we got the joke out from last week's video, let's point out what to expect down the stretch. Here's two teams you got to watch. The Knicks are going to struggle, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if you saw that game against the Miami Heat before the All-Star break, now they're starting to play total game plans against Jeremy Lin. He was 1 for 11. I love Lin. He's a great passer, but I don't think Melo has enough discipline to know when to shoot and when not to shoot. And I don't think Stoudemire is going to adapt well. I think they're going to have trouble. And I also think the Bulls struggle because I'm telling you, this back problem is not going away for Rose. So I don't know how well they're going to do against this.
But don't you think that if he does have those problems, and the lines will adjust and maybe overreact, and the Bulls have well, first of all, they have a very deep team. They also have a very young team, which is one of the things at the beginning of the season people were talking about might be a key factor that, you know, down the stretch you might want to fade the old teams, you know, be ageist about it, and fade teams like Boston or Phoenix where you have like Phoenix, half of Phoenix's starting lineup is like older than we are. You know what I mean?
But I'm saying right now, the one trend I'm looking at over the next week or two, I'm telling you, I'm fading the Bulls, I'm fading the Knicks.
All right, well, let's see. All right, so let's look at some of the old teams. Let's see what you have to say about this Swingin Johnson. We got Boston, right? They were 13-9 against the spread in the first half. They were 1-8 over their last 9 games. Now, they did have a bunch of injuries, but they still, really looked like they were fading as the first half wore on. Phoenix was 14-20 against the spread on the year, 2-5 over their last 7. And again, Nash and Hill, those guys were like almost born in the 60s. I swear to God, I'm not even kidding. Swingin Johnson, what do you think about this? I mean, you're a pretty old guy, right? What do you think about fading old teams down the stretch?
Yeah, I'm all for it, baby, and especially the Boston Celtics. You know, it's kind of ironic because Danny Ainge took a shot at Red Auerbach, and I don't say took a shot. I would probably be more apt to say made the correct observation about Red Auerbach not wanting to break up the big three of McHale, Bird, and Parrish when they were in their sunset years. And now, when he has the opportunity to pull the trigger on blowing it up because Pierce, Allen, and Garnett are basically in the same shape that Red Auerbach was in with the big three in the 80s. And right now, he's saying, I like my team. He's saying all the GM-ish kind of things.
Right.
When in reality, they're 15-17, and they're going nowhere fast, and they're not going to get any better.
Let's look at it from the other side. I hate old people in general, and I especially hate old people when they're playing basketball. But the flip side of that is that I love young people. I love youth.
See, and again, this gets with the serial killer thing. I love young people. Now that soundbite is going to go a long way, and then they're going to superimpose your picture.
Look,
I hate old people. They're always testifying and calling the police.
What can I say? I'm the product of the United States culture. I despise people who are old, and I love youth and young. The younger, the better. So what do you think about, what are the young teams like?
Fill out a police report and know how to keep a secret. What? Oh, go on. This is your story.
All right, well, let's keep this to handicapping perspective. All right, what young teams do you think might be a great bet? Because I'm thinking that Oklahoma City will be at least 500. I'm thinking that if you blindly bet them in the second half, that you probably aren't going to lose money. And I think the Bulls also are probably going to be a good bet. What other teams do you think are like young teams that might be a good bet down the stretch?
Well, you got to be thinking the Clippers. These guys are amazing. You know, Chris Paul and that just dunking machine, Neanderthal. I mean, they're really playing great, and I don't know that anyone can catch on to them because it is that ageist thing again. I really like this team because they're so young, and I mean, I really think the Clippers is the obvious thing.
All right, well, I think that just about wraps it up for this week. Great show, guys, and everyone can catch Swingin Johnson's podcast called Winnin' with Swingin' every Saturday, right, Swingin'? And we've got 2 videos by Gino every week aside from this one, and those are definitely worth checking out. And definitely don't miss the upcoming March Madness Brackets contest with a huge prize pool that will be available on SBR Forum March 5th, I think it is.